Welcome to the series preview media availability edition of Talking Hoosier Baseball. Today is Thursday, March 5th, 2026. Indiana baseball will open the 2026 Big Ten season at home Friday, 5 p.m. against Washington. After practice today, head coach Jeff Mercer took questions from the media. Coach, the team's done pretty well over the course of weekends in improving its run scoring, but it's also going to be kind of important to get going on Friday. So what are you working on along those lines?
From an offensive standpoint? Yeah, a different pitch philosophy this weekend. The Friday guy will have some velocity to him, but a lot of guys with two fastballs, command of at least one breaking ball and a changeup. And so it's not as much from a stuff, like if you're going to do a grading of stuff standpoint, but a lot of pitchability, a lot of pitch execution. And so for us, it's going to be our swing decisions, and then especially swing decisions with runners on base. And so they're going to be able to really manage moments. And so if you get a guy on, first and second and one out, and you swing out of zone at a changeup and a 1-0 count, that's double play ball. You're gonna end innings in that situation. And where they're not going to give them to you. There's not going to be free bases, kind of like WKU. There's not going to be free bases, fully pitchable, and they're going to allow you to beat yourself. But if you don't, if you get them in the zone, you swing at the right pitches, we're on approach, we're on playing, and you can string them together, you're going to have an opportunity to have hard contact and play, and hopefully put up a few runs there and kind of extend some games out. Last weekend it's a big ballpark. With kind of wind blowing in, and they've had great defense. So I have to give credit to them. They really took care of the ball. And, we're back home, and it's going to have a south wind and a west wind, which is going to blow out. And so there's going to be probably a little bit more offensive elements at play for us. But the big thing, the kryptonite for us will be is early weak contact, and then weak contact with guys on base and double plays. If we can stay out of those two, string good swing decisions together, we should be able to at least mount a competitive offense and give our pitching staff or defense a chance.
Coach, you've had success, not just this year, years prior, in using two pitchers to kind of complete a whole game. Yeah. Is that a point of emphasis you have, and maybe also stretching out starters at this point in the year, or you're still around the same pitch count?
No, we'll start to stretch them out a little bit. I think some of those guys got up into 80 to 85 pitch count range. Yeah, I'm a big fan, to your point of, is if you can piggyback starters, that's where we do have more pitching depth. I know we've let some games get away, but we really do have enough depth. If you start, Tony and Brayton and Bergman, but then you look at Seabold and you look at Rivera. I know Rivera didn't throw well this weekend, but he's capable. When Regan has fastball command, he's really good. When he relies on just the cutter is a contact pitch, and I've told him this a bunch. You're 92, 96. You need to have fastball command and presence on both sides. You can't just rely on the cutter, and he's going to hit when you do that. But if you look at, Seabold and Rivera and Garberry, Vogel, I think Connor Lynn's been a lot better the last two times out. So you kind of have some guys where you can stack those up, and you can really shrink games. The middle innings have cost us, but the middle innings cost everybody. And so as your starters get worked up, you really want to be able to protect those guys. But yeah, in an ideal world, it's like 6-3, 6-3. And then, if you have a closer, you need to have a stopper, you can. But we have the capabilities of piggybacking guys and having length with our bullpen, where you don't have to stretch the starter out, where he loses stuff, where you really begin to see the diminishing return. And, everybody is battling the when is enough. We in the beginning of the year, I had hoped that we would be better in kind of a dirty inning, but you come in with a guy on first base and one out, or first and second and one out. We come and execute a pitch. We didn't do very well in those moments. We didn't stop or cauterize innings. So Matt and I made an adjustment trying to start more clean. So make sure we have our relievers starting clean, and that seemed to help us. And hopefully, as we develop more and grow, and everybody gets settled back in here, we can lengthen those starters out and trust guys to come in, with clutter, with a guy on base, and that's just it would be nice for us to have a guy at 70 pitches and send him back out and not have to start clean. But yeah, in an ideal world, you can piggyback those guys and run games out, and then save your stoppers for, like Yarberry did. Like you can go Saturday, Sunday. You can go Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, where you have those one inning guys that are always up.
Can you kind of assess where you were heading into the Big Ten? What's been the big part.
Yeah, we've played a lot of really good baseball, and I'm really pleased with 80 to 90% of the way that we've played. Certainly with you're going outside for the first time in your first game and against some really good teams. So our starting pitching has been a real bright spot. We've had really good starting pitching. We've had several relievers that have been really good. What we haven't done a great job of is in some of those middle innings, free bases, whether it's start off with an error, you start off with a walk. When we've limited free bases, games have gotten really short for us. That's everybody in college baseball. It's not one of those things where we have a lot of free bases in the fall or the winter. It's the emotion of the moment. I give up. There's an error, and then I lose focus on the mound, or I give up hard contact and I lose the strike zone. It's controlling your emotions. So the big part for us is, are we emotionally under control? Can we stay focused and disciplined on executing a plan when the environment changes around us? When we do that, we've been really good on the mound. Right now, we're on pace to probably double our double plays. So we had a main focus in the offseason of we had to have more fastball presence to both sides of the plate so we could create more weak contact. And then we worked a ton on double plays. We have a really good infield defensively. Fry's done a really good job stepping in. So we wanted to turn a lot of double plays. That was a main focus of trying to create more weak contact. Done a really good job of that. We haven't done a great job in some of those innings where we start with a play that I think we can make defensively. You're up by a couple runs in the 7th inning against a good team. You can't give them a start with an error. And so where we've been good defensively, turn double plays. We haven't been as good at starting clean in some of those innings late game, and you just can't give away freebies. I think our outfield play has been outstanding, far better than I anticipated us being. With new guys out there, not being outside much, I think we've really tracked the ball well in the outfield and done a good job with that. I think our cuts and relays have been good. We've really executed low in the middle of the field and redirected really well. I think that defensive structure for us is why we've been in every game. We've had a competitive game in every game that we've had. Offensively, we've been an on-base team. I think we have another gear to us with runners in scoring position and with 2 strikes. We've taken more strike threes than our opponent by a considerable amount. Some of that has to do with you have some guys that are really executing some high-level pitches, and some of that is being too patient and passive and getting ourselves into too many 2-strike counts and too many foul balls early. So I like the fact that we're trying to be selective and getting on base, but we have to be better with 2 strikes. And then I think we have to have a more overall trustworthy at bat. Sometimes it's hard for me to decide, hey, we're going to sack bunt here, do we not sack bunt? Well, it's like if you're dependent upon the guy that's coming up next. Do I trust him in this situation to execute the plan? And that's just kind of getting to know your personnel. But we have, I think, done a good job with a relatively young offense of making good swing decisions, of being competitive against high-level arms, and then executing to what we've wanted to do is, it'd be great if we scored 15 runs, but we just can't have the wide chasms. We can't have the games where we score 2 runs and then 18 runs. We need to be able to score 6 to 8 runs every game, and we give our defense and our pitching a chance to produce or carry us. And we've done a better job of that. We haven't seen the wide chasms in either no runs or huge numbers. And again, if you want to score a huge number, that's fine, clearly. But we can't. We should have been better offensively on Friday against WKU. We pitched it great. We have to produce offensively. We had opportunities. We didn't get that done, and so it really puts a real a stretch on your bullpen early in that weekend, which comes back to bite you in that 3rd game. So I would say those are kind of the counterpoints of our team to this point. All of we have the ability, we have the talent, we have the people that are doing the right jobs. We have to be complimented. We have to do all of those phases at the same time, and I'm very confident that we can. But we have to clean all the freebies up. We have to be better in scoring position, better with 2 strikes, and a more trustworthy at bat where everybody kind of knows what we're going to get from everybody all the time. Yes.
So you've won 22 of your last 25 series at home on the weekend. What's kind of the key philosophy for your success on the weekends? Just to at least win a series, maybe not sweep, but at least win the series, especially against tough Big Ten opponents.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things to go with that. We're built offensively. This is an offensive ballpark. We make hard contact consistently, and we make good swing decisions. So if you're making good swing decisions and you make hard contact consistently, we typically have a south wind or a west wind. The wind's going to blow out, and so we usually are more offensive at home, which helps. Anytime that you're at home, you guys sleep better, they rest better, you can prepare them better. You can put all your spin balls and all your machines. You can really practice them, and so we are good structurally at education, at teaching, at developing. And so when you're home, you have to spend more time with them. And I think our ballpark plays a little more offensive, which is a benefit to us also. And then there's a pride, right? You play in front of your home crowd. You play in front of your community. You have fans and support. When you do something well, they cheer for you, not just the other team. There's a psyche to that too, that comes with confidence and some belief, and you kind of get going and play well. I think that helps a lot. And then, we try to play a hard schedule on the road to prepare you for when you get into the Big Ten and you're playing those opponents. So hopefully you're hardened for that environment when you get back home too.
Coach, you just mentioned you guys typically play these tough non-con schedules, but your teams have historically kicked it into gear in conference play. Is there a different vibe around practice or coming into a week like this that's starting off Big Ten play?
I think anytime that and I know I've said this, but when you do hard things together and you go and you challenge yourself, you can, as a coach, you can only yell so much. You can only have so many drills. At a certain point, you just have to go do it. You have to go do it in the fight. You have to go challenge yourself, and so that you feel prepared. And so anytime you feel prepared and you've been challenged, I think you compete with confidence. There's a part of it for us. I learn and adjust as a coach, trying to create more variability in training. I think there are some times that I'm such a there's such a drill element, there's such a teaching element that you can lose some variability. So you come back home and you've tried this week, definitely with the rain out, to create some more variability and some more organic situations and those things. And I think that, again, that creates energy. Guys like that. They like the challenge, like to be pushed, and like want to do different things. So I think all those things help. And then I think a big part of it is sleep and rest and recovery, and you feel good, and you didn't get home at 3 o'clock in the morning, after a layover on a Monday morning class. So I think those things help. And to your point, I think a challenging non-conference, it does prepare you better for when you get into league play. And make no mistake, the Big Ten is a different league than it was just 2 or 3 years ago. I think I counted the other day, may have changed now. Carl can attest. I think there were 14 Big Ten teams in the top 100 RPI and 4 in the top 25 as of the other day. And so you're going to have there's going to be good teams. I think the Pac-12 schools coming in, we talked about it last year, but they make everybody better. You're diversified in your style of play, and that challenges you and makes everybody better across the board. And so you get into league play, you feel prepared, you get home, you get some rest, and you feel good going into it. And then you get a chance to put your hands on the guys and really create good environments for them to grow and hopefully play well.
Let's talk about this. The Pac-12 teams coming in. Do they bring a different style, like a different West Coast baseball style to the Big Ten, or is it kind of just the same old run-of-the-mill?
No, I think both are true. I think the Midwest teams. It's a more offensive setup. You have the Midwest in the winter, spring. The wind blows out. It's a lot more windy conditions. You've got smaller ballparks. You have some power stuff that goes into it. And so I think that we provide that. And then you saw, UCLA has some physicality, but they grabbed a couple of guys too this past off season that provided some huge juice for them also. And then I think open our guys' eyes too is when you played UCLA last year and USC, a very different pitch style. A lot of guys have 2 fastballs, and they all have a changeup, and they all throw at least one breaker ball for a strike. And so the swing decisions, the pressure of the swing decisions is different. When a lot of times the Midwest guys, you're going to see 2, maybe a 3-pitch mix, more velocity, more stuff, and it's more of that power-centric game. And they don't always have to play like that. The West Coast teams, they'll have 4 and 5 pitches. They manage the run game. They're going to really take care of the ball. So I think that helps us as coaches when you're teaching your players to know, like, hey, there's a different way to play the game. We can field 975. We can field 980. We can throw to both halves of the plate. We can throw 4 pitches for a strike. So yeah, I think it has really helped the league in totality. I think it probably challenges some of the West Coast teams, some of the smaller parks and some of the power. in the Midwest, but then I know that the West Coast teams have really helped us from a teaching standpoint with our guys to be able to execute more of a small ball, a more well-rounded game also. It's been a really, really big benefit for us. I know that for sure.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, one more thing. You talked about before the season, some of the younger hitters stepping into big roles like Hanley and Malmazian.
Yeah.
Gonna have to be facing a lot more of that breaking pitches, breaking pitches early in counts. Early in the season, it looked like they weren't, handling it too well, but they've definitely stepped in their role. How have you, seen them kind of grow into that top of the order role?
That's a great question. When you North Carolina is maybe the best pitching staff in the country, and what it does is it reinforces the importance of swing decisions, but also finishing the at bat on the pitch that you decide to swing at. When you pull off and you foul off a pitch, when you're in practice or you're in the scrimmage or you're in the cage, maybe not be that big of a deal. The emphasis isn't there. When you get a 2-1 count and you foul off a pitch with a guy on second and third, and now you're getting a 91-mile-an-hour slider, you get a real sense of the accountability to executing when given the moment. And so that gives a lot of feedback for them, and that helps them. When you're talking about good direction, staying on contact point, not overswinging, not doing too much, ending the at bat on the right pitch, that helps them to grow through that, and you see some growth with it. And I think the importance of the free base from an offensive standpoint, we talk about it a ton. The full count pitch, we talk about going back to 2-2 in our mindset, because taking ball 4 is critical. Taking a hit by pitch is critical. Those swing moments where you look at most big innings that we've scored runs, 2, 3, 4 run innings, there's usually a free base or two that's in there. And a lot of times it's given to you if you'll take it. You have to accept the freebie. You swing at a ball 4 that bounces, you just gave that freebie back to them and you let them off the hook. And so that part, I think, for those guys, seeing it with their own 2 eyes has really helped. And then obviously Ricketts' growth. Fry hit some balls hard. He had some tough luck this weekend, but Fry's been a really dutiful player there, and so you lengthen the lineup out and a lot of offense. We really should be able to have 9 guys that can produce offensively or have a role. So lengthening the lineup has been a big part of that growth too.
Weather for first pitch tomorrow is expected to be 71 degrees with broken clouds and a wind of 12 miles per hour blowing out to left center field. If you go to the live game blog part of iubase.com, you will see weather forecasts for upcoming games. See you at the Bart.